The champagne bubbles tickled my nose as I watched Isaias command the room, his charm working its magic on potential investors. My boyfriend of 3 years was in his element, and I couldn't help but smile, knowing we were finally on the verge of something spectacular. I'm Whitney, and until today, I thought I knew what happiness looked like. Your man's quite the smooth talker, Mary whispered, nudging me with her elbow. But then again, that's how he got you, isn't it? I laughed, taking another sip of champagne. That, and his brilliant mind. This startup is going to change everything, Mary. We've already secured most of the funding. The startup was our baby, a revolutionary event planning platform that would streamline everything from venue booking to vendor management. I'd poured my heart, soul, and entire savings into it. More importantly, I'd poured my trust into Isaias. Speaking of the startup, Mary's tone shifted. Have you finalized the paperwork yet? We're meeting with the lawyers next week, I said, watching Isaias work his way through the crowd. Everything's falling into place perfectly. A notification buzzed on my phone. Another investment commitment. I excused myself to the hallway to take a call, but voices from around the corner stopped me short. The transfer went through yesterday, a woman's voice said. Isaias assured me everything's set. And Whitney, a male voice asked. She has no idea. Poor thing thinks she's going to be co-founder. My heart stopped. The champagne glass nearly slipped from my hand as I recognized the woman's voice. Lindsay, our lead investor's daughter. The wedding venue is booked for next month, Lindsay continued. Once we're married, we'll announce the merger. By then, it'll be too late for her to do anything about it. Wedding, merger. My head spun as I backed away, bumping into a waiter who steadied me with concern. Are you all right, miss? I nodded mechanically, making my way to the bathroom. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. There it was, posted just minutes ago. Lindsay's perfectly manicured hand, sporting an enormous diamond ring, tagged with Isaias's profile and the caption, I said yes, Satkariji future wife, Sakariji blessed. The bathroom door swung open. Whitney, Mary's worried voice, echoed off the tiles. You disappeared so suddenly. Oh my God, what's wrong? I showed her my phone, watching her expression change from confusion to horror to rage. That lying piece of 3 years, Mary. I cut her off, my voice barely a whisper. 3 years of my life, my entire savings, everything I had. We need to get you out of here, Mary said firmly, grabbing my arm. Now. But as we turned to leave, the bathroom door opened again. Lindsay walked in, stopping short when she saw me. Her face shifted from surprise to something almost like pity. Whitney, I suppose you've seen the post. How long? I managed to ask. Does it matter? She adjusted her perfect hair in the mirror. Business is business, sweetie. Some of us are meant to lead, others to follow. I'm sure you understand. Mary stepped forward, but I held her back. Without a word, I walked out, head high, past the crowd of celebrating investors, past Isaias, who called out my name in confusion, and into the cool night air. My phone buzzed again. An email from our lawyer. Urgent. Irregularities in startup funding transfers. Please call immediately. I looked back at the glittering venue one last time, feeling something shift inside me. The naive, trusting Whitney died tonight. In her place, something harder, colder, and infinitely more dangerous was being born. They had no idea what they'd just created. 3 weeks after the engagement party, I sat in a dimly lit bar, staring at bank statements that made my stomach turn. The startup account had been systematically drained over the past 2 months, transferred to shell companies I'd never heard of. Another whiskey? The bartender asked. Make it a double. Actually, make that 2, a deep voice said beside me. A well-dressed man in his 40s took the seat next to mine. Rough night? I quickly gathered the papers. Something like that. Those shell companies, he nodded toward the statements. They're registered in the Cayman Islands, aren't they? I stiffened. Who are you? Garrett Campbell. and I've been watching Isaiah's and Lindsay's little game for months now. He slid a business card across the bar. I'm an angel investor, and I know a snake when I see one. The bartender brought our drinks. I studied Garrett's card, CEO of Campbell Ventures. Why are you telling me this? Because I saw your pitch deck before Isaiah's corrupted it. The original concept, brilliant. You're the brains behind that operation, aren't you? I took a long sip of whiskey. Not that it matters anymore. It matters more than you think. Garrett pulled out his phone, showing me a news article. Lindsay's father's company is about to acquire 3 major event venues in the city. Once they control the venues, they'll have a monopoly on the market. I finished, the pieces clicking into place. That's why they needed my platform. Exactly. But here's what they don't know. Garrett leaned closer. One of those venues is struggling with serious code violations, the kind that could tank the whole deal. My phone buzzed, a text from Mary. Turn on the news now. I gestured to the bartender to switch on the TV. There was Isaiah's, arm around Lindsay, announcing their new venture, my venture. My blood boiled as I watched him take credit for every feature I developed. I'm going to destroy them, I said, surprising myself with the coldness in my voice. Careful, Garrett warned. Revenge is a tricky business. This isn't just about revenge. They stole everything from me. My money, my ideas, Your heart? Garrett finished. Channel that pain, Whitney. Use it to build something better. How? I'm broke. Not necessarily. He pulled out another document. I'm prepared to offer you seed funding. Twice what you had before. But this time you'll have proper legal protection. And my network behind you. I stared at him suspiciously. Why would you help me? Because I hate seeing talent wasted. And because watching Lindsay and her father's monopoly fail would make my year. He smiled. Plus, I have a feeling you're going to be unstoppable now that you've got nothing left to lose. My phone buzzed again. An Instagram notification. Lindsay had posted another photo, this time of her and Isaiah's touring wedding venues, the same venues they were planning to acquire. If I do this, I said slowly, I want complete control. Naturally, but you'll need a team you can trust. I know just the person. I pulled up Mary's contact and typed, need your help, time to raise some hell. Garrett raised his glass. To new beginnings. I clinked my glass against his, a plan already forming in my mind. To karma. As I left the bar that night, I passed a magazine stand. There was Isaiah's on the cover of a local business magazine, his arm around Lindsay, both smiling like they'd won the lottery. In a way, they had. They'd won my lottery. But they'd forgotten one crucial detail. I'm a quick learner. And this time, I wasn't playing to win. I was playing to demolish. 6 months flew by in a blur of coding sessions, investor meetings, and sleepless nights. My new startup, Venue Vault, was growing faster than even Garrett had predicted. But success came with its own problems. They're trying to block our permits again, Mary announced, bursting into my office. 3rd venue this week. I looked up from my laptop. Let me guess. Mysterious building code violations? Bingo. And that's not all. She tossed a folder on my desk. Remember Bryn Lee from college? She works for the city planning office now. She sent these. Inside were copies of emails between Lindsay's father and various city officials. The corruption was blatant, but clever enough to stay just within legal bounds. They're scared, I said, scanning the documents. Good. My phone rang. Garrett, turn on channel 8 now. I grabbed the remote, and there was Isaiah's, looking polished in an expensive suit. The headline below read, Tech Startup Revolutionary announces major acquisition. Our platform will revolutionize the events industry, he was saying. By acquiring these venues, we're creating a seamless experience that's my exact pitch, I snarled, word for word. Keep watching, Garrett said. The camera panned to show Lindsay and her father standing proudly behind Isaiah's. But something caught my eye. Alfred, the manager of their flagship venue, looking distinctly uncomfortable. I know that look, Mary said. What are you thinking? I ended the call with Garrett. Alfred's been with that venue for 15 years. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And I'm betting he's not happy about being pushed around by trust fund Princess Lindsay. I grabbed my coat. Mary raised an eyebrow. Where are you going? To have a drink with an unhappy venue manager. 2 hours later, I sat across from Alfred in a quiet coffee shop, watching him stir his fourth sugar into his coffee. I shouldn't be talking to you, he said, glancing around nervously. But you are. Why? He sighed heavily. 20 years in this business, I've never seen anything like it. The corners they're cutting, the safety regulations they're ignoring. Tell me everything. By the time Alfred finished talking, my coffee was cold, and my notes were extensive. The violations weren't just numerous, they were dangerous. Why haven't you reported this? I asked. To whom? They own half the inspection board. He leaned forward. But you're building something different, aren't you? I'm building something better. I slid my business card across the table. And I could use someone with your experience. My phone buzzed, a text from Bryn Lee. You need to see this. Meeting in 20. I met Brinley at her office. She looked nervous as she handed me a USB drive. Internal emails, she whispered. They're planning to announce the venue acquisitions at Isaias and Lindsay's wedding. Some big publicity stunt. When? 3 months from now. But Whitney, she grabbed my arm. Be careful, these people play dirty. Back at my office, Mary was waiting with more news. Our latest safety compliance software just got approved. We're ready to launch. I plugged in the USB drive, scanning through the emails. Perfect timing, because in 3 months, we're going to crash a wedding. Please tell me you have a plan, Mary said. I smiled, thinking of Alfred's information and Brinley's emails. Oh, I have more than a plan. I have proof. And soon, I'll have the one thing they care about most. What's that? Their reputation. I turned my laptop to show her the damning evidence. By the time I'm done, they won't just lose the venues. They'll lose everything. The pieces were falling into place. Now all I needed was patience and the perfect moment to strike. You're playing a dangerous game, Garrett warned, pacing my office. The board is getting nervous about your obsession with these venues. I gestured to the spreadsheets covering my desk. Look at these numbers. We're growing faster than... This isn't about growth, he cut me off. It's about you spending more time plotting revenge than running your company. Before I could respond, Mary burst in. We have a problem. Someone leaked our new safety compliance software specs to Isaias's team. My stomach dropped. How bad? Bad enough. They're rushing to implement similar features before we launch. I slammed my hand on the desk. There's a mole. Has to be. Whitney. Garrett's voice softened. When was the last time you slept? I ignored him, pulling up our employee database. Check everyone who's had access to the development servers in the last month. Stop, Mary said firmly. You need to hear this. She pulled up a news article on her tablet. Lindsay's been reaching out to your old investors. She's spinning some story about you having a mental breakdown after the breakup. What? They're painting you as unstable, obsessed, and it's working. 2 investors pulled out this morning. I felt the room spin. Everything I'd built was starting to crack. My phone rang. Bryn Lee. Turn on the TV. Business channel. Now. There was Lindsay, looking perfectly poised in a designer suit. We're concerned about certain competitors using aggressive tactics, she was saying. The events industry requires trust, stability. Turn it off, I snapped. Whitney, Garrett said quietly. Maybe it's time to what? Give up? Let them win. To remember why you started this company in the first place. Mary touched my arm. He's right. This isn't you. The Whitney I know builds things. She doesn't destroy them. My phone buzzed again. A text from Alfred. Emergency. Meet me at the usual place. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Alfred in our regular coffee shop. He looked terrified. They know I've been talking to you, he whispered. Lindsay threatened my pension, my reputation. I can protect you. Can you? Look at what they're doing to you already. He pushed a folder across the table. This is everything I have on their safety violations. After this, I'm done. I have a family to think about. I opened the folder with trembling hands. The documents inside were devastating. Proof of systematic negligence that could ruin them. But at what cost? Back at the office, I found Mary and Garrett waiting. Before you say anything, Mary started, you need to see this. She pulled up our company dashboard. Despite the investor pullout, our user numbers were soaring. Small venues were flocking to our platform, attracted by our genuine commitment to safety and transparency. You're winning, Garrett said softly. Not by destroying them, but by being better than them. But they're still going to get away with, are they? Mary interrupted. Look at the market share projections. At this rate, their venues will be obsolete in a year. I stared at the numbers, really seeing them for the first time in weeks. We weren't just surviving, we were thriving. Maybe, I said slowly, I've been focusing on the wrong thing. The best revenge, Garrett smiled, is living well. My phone lit up with a notification. Another venue had just signed up for our platform. A legitimate win, earned through innovation, not vengeance. But as I reached for my phone, a different notification caught my eye. An email from Lindsay herself. We need to talk, in person. There's something you don't know about Isaias. I looked at the email for a long moment, then at the folder from Alfred, sitting on my desk. Maybe there was a way to win this battle without losing myself in the process. Mary, I said. Call Brinley. I think it's time for a different approach. The restaurant Lindsay chose was exactly her style, overpriced and pretentious. She sat at a corner table, perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around a martini glass. I was surprised you agreed to meet, she said as I sat down. Let's skip the small talk. What do you want? She took a careful sip. Did you know Isaias is planning to sell the company right after the wedding? What? He's already in talks with a tech giant. Once the deal closes, he'll walk away with millions. She pulled out her phone, showing me emails, and I'll be left managing failing venues with my father. I studied her face. Why are you telling me this? Because I made a mistake. Her perfect composure cracked slightly. I thought I was getting a business partner. Instead, I'm getting played. Just like you were. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? I deserve that, she admitted. But I have something you want. She slid a USB drive across the table. Complete documentation of every shortcut, every violation, every penny they've hidden. My phone buzzed. Mary texting. Don't trust her. What's the catch? I asked. Help me stop the wedding. Use your platform, your influence. In return, I'll testify about everything. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Bryn Lee. Whitney, we have a situation. The city just approved all their pending permits. Someone overrode all the safety concerns. I ended the call, looking at Lindsay with new understanding. This meeting, it's a distraction, isn't it? While your father pushes through the permits, she didn't flinch. Smart girl, always were the brains of the operation. You really think I'd fall for this? Worth a shot. She stood up, smoothing her dress. Good luck with your little company, Whitney. You'll need it. I waited until she left before calling Mary. Get everyone in the office, now. An hour later, I faced my team. They're making their move. Time for us to make ours. The safety violations, Mary asked. Not enough. We need something bigger. I turned to Bryn Lee. How quickly can you get us the new permit documentation? Already on it. But Whitney, if we do this, we burn every bridge, I finished. I know. Garrett spoke up from the back. You'll make powerful enemies. I already have powerful enemies. I pulled up our platform's interface. But we have something they don't. Actual innovation. My phone buzzed. A text from Alfred. They're firing half the venue staff next week. Cutting corners again. Mary, call our PR team. Bryn Lee, I need every document you can get, legal or not. What are you planning? Garrett asked. I smiled, feeling a familiar fire ignite. Remember how Isaias and Lindsay are planning to announce their venue acquisitions at their wedding. Yeah? What if we announce something bigger the day before? I pulled up our latest project on the screen. A complete venue management system that makes their entire model obsolete. That's suicide, someone said. No, Garrett grinned. That's brilliant. Hit them where it hurts, their future profits. But we'll need proof their system is dangerous, Mary pointed out. I held up the USB drive Lindsay had given me. Sometimes your enemies hand you exactly what you need. You think there's actual evidence on there? Lindsay's many things, but she's not stupid. She'd never hand me a blank drive. I plugged it in. She'd give me just enough truth to make her lie believable. Files populated the screen, hundreds of them. Internal emails, safety reports, financial records. Holy shit, Mary whispered. Get everyone on this. We have 1 week to verify everything and prepare our announcement. As the team dispersed, Garrett hung back. You know they'll come at you with everything they've got. I looked at the wedding invitation still sitting on my desk. Let them come. This time, I'm ready. The game had changed. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about revolution. The tension in the conference room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Our announcement was scheduled for tomorrow, and Isaias had just launched his counterattack. They're suing us for defamation, Mary announced, dropping a stack of legal papers on the table, and they've frozen our main account. They can't do that, Brinley protested. They just did. I remained surprisingly calm. How much access do we still have? Enough for tomorrow's launch, Garrett said. I moved most of our funds last week, remember? My phone buzzed. A text from Alfred. Isaias just fired me. But I got what you needed first. Mary, get Alfred in here now, I ordered, and call our lawyers. The door burst open. Lindsay stormed in, face flushed with anger. You think you're so clever, don't you? Security moved to intercept her, but I waved them off. How did you get in here? Your receptionist remembers me from the old days. She slammed a tablet on the table. Care to explain this? On the screen was a draft of tomorrow's announcement, detailing every safety violation and financial irregularity we'd uncovered. Looks pretty self-explanatory to me, I said coolly. You're making a mistake, she hissed. We can still make a deal. Like the deal you made with Isaias. I pulled up an email on my phone. The one where you planned to push me out from the start? Her face paled. How did you get that email? Let's just say your IT security needs work. I stood up. Now get out of my office before I have security throw you out. She leaned close. You have no idea what you're starting. No, Lindsay. You have no idea what I've already finished. After she left, Mary turned to me. That email, we didn't hack them, did we? No need. I smiled. Alfred sent it to me this morning. Turns out Lindsay's not very careful with her login credentials. Garrett's phone rang. His face turned serious as he listened. They're calling an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. Perfect timing, I said, pulling up our presentation, because I just got confirmation from 3 major venue chains. They're signing with us. What about the lawsuit? Brinley asked. Let them sue. Every accusation we're making is documented. Alfred's been collecting evidence for months. As if on cue, Alfred walked in, carrying a thick folder. This is everything. Security footage, maintenance records, email trails. They can't deny any of it. My phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. I put it on speaker. Hello, Whitney. Isaias's voice filled the room. We need to talk. Nothing to talk about. Don't do this, he pleaded. Think about all the people who'll lose their jobs. You mean the people you're already planning to fire? Save the act, Isaias. I saw the layoff plans. Silence then. You've changed. No, I've grown up. There's a difference. I'll double whatever Garrett's paying you, triple it. I laughed. You still don't get it, do you? This was never about money. Then what? Integrity. Something you wouldn't understand. I ended the call. Mary hugged me. That felt good, didn't it? It did. I addressed the room. Tomorrow, we show the world what real innovation looks like. Not shortcuts, not corruption. actual solutions. They'll fight back, Garrett warned. Let them. We have truth on our side. I looked at the wedding invitation pinned to my bulletin board. And tomorrow, right before their perfect wedding, we're going to remind everyone what that means. The team dispersed, leaving me alone with Mary. You okay? She asked. I looked out at the city lights. You know what? For the first time in months, I really am. Tomorrow would change everything, and I was ready. The marble floors of the Grand Plaza echoed with the clicks of my heels as I walked into the wedding venue. Heads turned, whispers followed. I wasn't on the guest list, but that didn't matter. I owned the building now. Ma'am, you can't. A security guard started. I held up my phone, showing him the property deed. Actually, I can. The pre-wedding cocktail hour was in full swing. Isaiah stood near the champagne fountain, looking nervous. Our announcement had gone live an hour ago, and his phone hadn't stopped buzzing since. Whitney, Lindsay's voice cracked behind me. Her wedding dress was stunning, but her mascara was smeared. You have some nerve showing up here. Funny, I was about to say the same thing about you. I nodded toward the TV screens mounted around the venue. Have you seen the news? The screens flickered to life, displaying breaking news headlines. Major safety violations uncovered in luxury venue chain, and tech startup exposes systematic fraud. Turn those off, Lindsay screamed. I can't. Building policy. I smiled. New management, you understand. Isaiah pushed through the crowd. What have you done? Me? I just bought a venue. Several, actually, including this one. I turned to address the murmuring guests. Did you know your gracious hosts were planning to fire half the staff next week? Or that they've been covering up critical safety violations? Security, Lindsay's father bellowed. They work for me now, I said calmly, along with everyone else here. Mary appeared at my side, tablet in hand. The other venues just confirmed. We're live in all locations. Isaiah grabbed my arm. You're destroying everything we built. No, I jerked away. I'm exposing what you destroyed. The trust, the safety, the lives you were willing to risk for profit. The venue doors opened again. Garrett walked in, followed by a team of safety inspectors and 2 police officers. What's this? Lindsay's father demanded. Standard procedure, I explained. When new ownership discovers criminal negligence, we're required to report it. You can't prove anything, Lindsay spat. Actually, Alfred stepped forward from the crowd. We can prove everything. He handed a flash drive to one of the officers. Every violation, every cover-up, every bribe. The room erupted in chaos. Guests began leaving in droves. Photographers snapped pictures. Lindsay collapsed into a chair, her perfect wedding disintegrating around her. Why? Isaiah asked quietly. You already won. Your company's worth 10 times what ours was. Because someone had to stop you. I met his eyes. Because the next time you try to steal someone's dreams, you'll remember this moment. My phone buzzed. Another news alert. Our stock had doubled since the announcement. The venue management industry was being revolutionized, not by corruption, but by transparency and innovation. Ms. Whitney, one of the officers approached. We'll need statements from you and Mr. Alfred. Of course, I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Lindsay. The venue's yours for the next hour. Consider it a wedding gift. Mary followed me out, grinning. That was better than any revenge I could have imagined. It wasn't revenge, I said, watching Isaiah try to calm his hysterical bride. It was justice. Outside, the media had gathered. Garrett met us at the door. Ready for this? He asked. I straightened my jacket and nodded. Time to show the world what real leadership looks like. As we pushed through the crowd of reporters, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the venue's glass doors. I didn't see the broken-hearted girl from a year ago. I saw a woman who had turned her pain into power, her betrayal into triumph. Ms. Whitney, a reporter called out. How does it feel to revolutionize an industry? I smiled, thinking of all the honest venue managers like Alfred who could now work without fear. It feels like the beginning. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed the final acquisition papers. Our platform now managed over 2,000 venues nationwide, with a waiting list growing daily. Your 9 o'clock is here, my assistant called through the intercom. Send them in. A young woman walked in, clutching a laptop. Her hands trembled slightly as she sat down. Ms. Whitney, thank you for meeting me. I'm Jessica. You're the one who uncovered the safety violations at Summit events. She nodded. They stole my software design. When I threatened to expose them, they blacklisted me from the industry. I smiled, remembering a similar conversation with Garrett. Tell me more. As Jessica outlined her innovation, a brilliant crowd flow management system, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Isaias pleads guilty in fraud case. Sorry, I told Jessica, just some old business concluding. A knock at the door interrupted us. Mary burst in, grinning. You need to see this. She pulled up a video on her tablet. Lindsay was giving a statement outside the courthouse. But something was different. Her designer clothes were replaced by a simple blazer, her usual arrogance gone. I'm announcing my resignation, she was saying, and I'm cooperating fully with authorities to ensure all venue safety standards are met. What we did was wrong, and I'm sorry. Jessica watched with wide eyes. Is that? Someone who finally learned her lesson, I finished. Sometimes rock bottom has a way of teaching integrity. Speaking of integrity, Mary said, Alfred's new safety training program just got certified. He's implementing it across all our venues next week. I turned back to Jessica. How would you feel about joining a team that values innovation and ethics equally? Her eyes lit up. Are you offering a chance to develop your software with full credit and protection? Yes. I slid a contract across the desk. We protect our innovators here. As Jessica read through the contract, Garrett appeared in the doorway. Ready for the board meeting? One moment. I signed Jessica's contract, then handed her a security badge. Welcome to the team. In the boardroom, familiar faces filled the seats. Brinley, now our compliance director, was reviewing safety reports. Alfred, promoted to head of venue operations, was discussing training protocols with his team. Before we start, Garrett announced, I have something to say. He turned to me. A year ago, you walked into a bar ready to give up. Today, you've transformed an industry. I've never been prouder to be wrong about revenge. It wasn't about revenge in the end, I said. It was about building something meaningful from the ashes of betrayal. My phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. Isaias, you won. But you also taught me something about integrity. Thank you. I deleted the message without responding. Some chapters needed to stay closed. All right, I addressed the board. Let's talk about Jessica's crowd management innovation. Because this company isn't built on taking people's dreams. It's built on helping them achieve them. Mary squeezed my hand under the table as the presentation began. On the screen, venues across the country flickered to life, each one a testament to what happens when you choose integrity over revenge, innovation over destruction. You know what the best part is, Mary whispered. What's that? You didn't just get even. You got better. I looked around the room at my team. No, my family. And felt something I hadn't felt since that night at the engagement party. Pure, untainted joy. This was better than revenge. This was legacy. Now, I said, standing up, let's talk about the future, because we're just getting started. The room filled with excited chatter as I unveiled our next project. This time, there were no shadows lurking, no betrayals waiting, just pure, honest innovation, ready to change the world again. And I was ready to lead the way.